Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, and welcome to a new episode of a show that we have not done in a long time on this channel, Geekery 101. For anybody who has never seen an episode of Geekery 101, it is the show where I come in here and give you every single thing that you need to know in an easy to understand, summed up fashion to start enjoying your brand new geeky obsession. We did one of these a while back on this channel and it was popular, so I decided to split it off and make it its own channel, but then I discovered that running multiple YouTube channels all at the same time is actually way more complex than I thought it would be. So yeah, unfortunately we just have not done one of these in a while, but I am experimenting with the idea of bringing Geekery 101 back onto this channel, or maybe continuing it as its own channel. Let me know in the comments down below what your opinion is. Do you want to see more of these episodes here? Do you want to see them back on their own channel? Let me know all that below, but that is not what this episode is about. No, as I said, Geekery 101 is the show where I give you everything that you need to know to start enjoying your new geeky love, and after this weekend, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and guess a whole bunch of you are probably excited for Wonder Woman and you want to start reading her comics. Well, that's what today's episode is all about. I am going to tell you exactly where you can start reading Wonder Woman. Now, before we continue, I can just go ahead and tell you, as someone who has worked in a comic book store, I know that many of you out there right now are saying, oh, I know where I want to start. I want to start reading her from the very beginning. No, you don't. No, you don't. Listen, it's admirable to want to start reading a character from the very beginning. However, that means that you would have 75 years worth of stories to read in order to be able to catch up to what is currently going on in the Wonder Woman books. There is no way that you would ever be able to read that many books. And also, just being totally honest with you, comic books from the 1940s don't exactly hold up to our modern conception of storytelling. So rather than encouraging you to start reading Wonder Woman from the very beginning, I am going to give you two spots that you can jump right into Wonder Woman in order to start reading her most recent adventures. And again, you might be saying, well, what if I don't want to start reading her most recent adventures? What if I want to read some of her previous stuff? What if I want to go back maybe 10, 15, 20 years? Would that be too far back? Wonder Woman has had many great writers throughout her long history, and there are indeed many wonderful stories, no pun intended, with her character that you could go back and read. However, I'm here to try and help you to understand everything that is going on in the Wonder Woman series today, and here is something that you need to know about DC Comics. Roughly every 10 years, DC Comics will come in and have a massive crisis event that destroys their entire universe, then restarts it all brand new, straight from scratch, rewrites all the characters' histories, so none of the stuff that you had been reading previously is going to match up to what you're reading now. So in other words, this book here is canon. This book here, which came out literally 1 month earlier, is not canon. I know, it can seem kind of unfair that you might be reading a series and then all of a sudden none of it will matter anymore, but hey, what can I say? DC has to keep these characters from aging one way or another. And also, just speaking as a guy who recommends comics to people for a living, yeah, it does actually kind of make my job easier. So yes, if you are a fan of Wonder Woman and you do start reading the most recent stuff and you do enjoy it, I would indeed encourage you to go back and read the George Perez stuff, the original Greg Rucka stuff, the Gail Simone stuff. However, if you go back and read that stuff, just understand it is not going to match up to what is currently going on in the comics, and this show is all about getting you prepped to read what is going on right now. So let's get right into that by looking at the New 52. Yes, for anybody who doesn't know what the New 52 is, as I said, every couple of years DC goes in and reboots their entire universe, and the New 52 was the name of the last big reboot that they did, in which they came in and rewrote the history of all these characters, and Wonder Woman received one of the biggest rewrites. Not just to her history, but also to the tone and the theme of the series. Wonder Woman had always been more of kind of an upbeat series, a series that was all about swords and sorcery and magic and mysticism and a whole bunch of hope and wonderful creatures from Greek mythology. When the New 52 came around and decided to reinvent this character, it said, yeah, let's not forget, Greek mythology was really messed up. A lot of people, when this series first came out, were actually kind of saying it was more like a horror version of Wonder Woman. It actually had some really dark imagery and some really wicked and sinister reimaginings of some of her most classic characters. Now, I know that after that description, many of you are going to be coming in here and saying, why on earth are you recommending this to me? This does not sound like the Wonder Woman that I wanted to read about. Well, I'm recommending it to you guys for two reasons. One is because, in all honesty, despite the fact that this was a totally different take on this character and it cast her in a brand new light, it was still really darn good. This book, while having a completely different tone from the previous Wonder Woman series, was still a top-notch series that received some of the highest reviews of any book from the New 52. And the second reason why I'm recommending it to you guys is because, as I said, if you want to know what is currently going on in the Wonder Woman series, you have to know about all the changes that were made to her character, and a lot of those changes happen in this book, and those changes are starting to be seen in a lot of pop culture outside of comics. Now, to warn you guys, moving beyond this point, I am going to reveal one big spoiler from the Wonder Woman film. So if you have not seen the Wonder Woman film, this is probably your time to tune out. Okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so you know how at the end of the Wonder Woman film it says that Wonder Woman was not actually made out of clay like her mother told her that she was, but instead she was actually the daughter of Zeus? Yeah, this is where that came from. The origin story of Wonder Woman being made out of clay by her mother and then having life put into her by the gods, and that gave her all these powers, that had been her origin story for roughly 70 years, but then this book came along and said, yeah, that was actually just a lie we had been telling you to protect you, you're actually the daughter of Zeus. So now that you know that, what exactly is the pitch of this series? Well, basically, Zeus goes missing, so all the other gods are now making a play for his seat as king of the gods, and these gods are being interpreted very differently. They're much more modern. Like Apollo is some suave guy in a high-rise apartment in a sleek, fashionable suit. Ares is an old man who looks frail and beaten down, but then there are other gods who, as I said, are embracing more of a horror vibe, such as Poseidon, who is a giant sea monster, or Hades, who is just creepy. So creepy. But anywho, as I said, the other gods are making a play for his throne, while his wife Hera is trying to kill this random human woman who appears to have no attachment to anything. That is until Wonder Woman shows up to save her and she finds out that this woman is pregnant. Gee, knowing what I know about Greek mythology, I wonder who the daddy is. That's right, this woman is pregnant with the new spawn of Zeus, and that of course means that the other gods want her dead. And of course, things get even more complicated when Wonder Woman learns that, as I said, her mother has been lying to her about her past. She isn't a child created from clay and breathed life into by the gods. No, she's the actual daughter of Zeus, which means that not only does Wonder Woman have to protect this unborn child, she has to save herself. But not all of the gods are out for blood. Some of them are willing to help her, and some of them are willing to make deals with her. I mentioned that this has a horror vibe to it, but at times it also has a Game of Thrones feeling to it, or even a Sopranos mob family vibe, where everyone has their own motivations and reasons for doing what they do, so you see alliances form and double crosses all throughout. Characters who start off as villains become allies, and you see them really grow and change. As I said, I totally get that a lot of longtime Wonder Woman fans were turned off of this run because they changed Wonder Woman's origin and it didn't feel quite as unique anymore, and also, as I said, the tone was totally different. But hey man, the book was good and created a great new villain with the Firstborn. I won't go into any other details because I don't want to spoil all the crazy twists and turns this series takes, but if you want to know what the current incarnation of Wonder Woman is, what her most up-to-date origin is, and what her supporting cast currently looks like, this is the series to start with. You can find it all in the New 52 trade, starting with Volume 1, Blood. However, just to warn you one more time, as I said, the tone of this book is not going to match the Wonder Woman that you know or the Wonder Woman that you just saw in the most recent movie. And also, I know there are a lot of parents out there thinking, my child loved Wonder Woman. They want to start reading it. Can I start here? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this series to a kid. It is for adults. However, if you do want to read something current that matches the more hopeful and empowering spirit of Wonder Woman, or something that's good for kids, then that brings me to my next recommendation. Or recommendation and a half. You'll get what I mean in a second. So as I said, that Wonder Woman series was part of the New 52, but about 5 years after the New 52 started, DC decided it was time to shake things up again, and it was probably for the best, because you know how I said Wonder Woman didn't feel like the Wonder Woman that many fans wanted to read? Yeah, that went for many of their characters. So they launched Rebirth, a new line of their books that, unlike with most of their relaunches, didn't rewrite their continuity. Everything that happened in the New 52 still happened. That is why I recommended the New 52 series to you. But instead attempted to return these books back to the way that they had been. They attempted to recapture the tone and the spirit that these heroes were meant to embody, and again, Wonder Woman was no exception. They brought back fan favorite writer Greg Rucka, and he did something rather intriguing with this series. He divided it in half. You see, rather than telling one story going from issue to issue, he had one story that was told in the odd-numbered issues and another that was told in the even-numbered issues. Now, the odd-numbered issues told the story of Diana in the present day, and you know how I said that every 10 years DC reboots the history of their characters, and the New 52 timeline, she was now the daughter of Zeus? Yeah, Diana starts to question this. So she uses the lasso of truth on herself, and she starts to see that there are many different versions of her. She actually starts to realize that her history might have been manipulated. And to make matters worse, she can no longer find her way back to Themyscira and is no longer allowed to enter Mount Olympus. Something is afoot, and Wonder Woman is out to find the truth. This story is still pretty serious and deals with some pretty dramatic issues at times, but at the same time, Diana acts far more like the Diana that people have come to know and love. It brings back and really explores many of her supporting characters such as Steve Trevor and Etta Candy, and it even brings back one of her oldest enemies, Cheetah, and it twists her story in a direction that really provide a new life to this character. So, if you want something that not only explores the supporting cast of Wonder Woman, but also the mind and backstory of Diana, because as I said, yeah, she just learned that her whole life is a tapestry of shattered timelines. That's going to hit her hard. Then check this series out. You can find this in the first trade of her Rebirth series titled The Lies. However, as I said, there was another storyline that took place in the even issues, and that one is a retelling of her origin story. And something you should know about this origin, there are really two versions of Wonder Woman. The warrior princess, who is an ass-kicking machine decked out in giant weapons, each of which she'll use to take down gods and monsters in a single swipe. That's the sort of direction that the New 52 version took. And as I said, a lot of fans felt that wasn't the version that they liked. They preferred the warrior of peace and love, who will hug children and tell them to believe in themselves and will search for a peaceful solution first above anything else. That's what this new origin story was for. As I said, after 5 years of the axe-wielding monster slayer, people were ready to see the peaceful, optimistic Wonder Woman again. This origin story totally captures that. It showed Diana as someone who wanted to protect this stranger from a strange land, so much so that she was willing to give up everything that she knew to go out and help his people. It also does a wonderful job of introducing every character that would go on to play a major role in Wonder Woman's life. It showed her bonding with them so well that you could feel the attachment she had to each of them. And when you see her actually gaining her powers and actually going out there to be a superhero, you want to stand up and cheer. For those of you who didn't see my review of Wonder Woman, I really liked that movie, but I have to be honest with you, I think this is an even better origin story for her. So as I said, the New 52 Wonder Woman is there for anyone who wants to see the ass-kicking warrior and wants to see a brand new take on her world filled with twists and turns, while the Rebirth Wonder Woman is there for anyone who wants more of a personal story that delves into her mind and her history. But the Rebirth Year One Wonder Woman, the one that is being told in the even-numbered issues, That's for anyone who wants that Diana who is just full of hope and love for the world. It's for anyone who wants to see Wonder Woman learning about the world and wanting to protect it more than anything. And most importantly, it's for kids. Yeah, if you have a kid who loved the Wonder Woman movie and wants to start reading about her, then for the love of God, stay away from this. This one might be a tad confusing to them, but this one's just right. So there you go, folks. That's our guide to where to start reading Wonder Woman. If you enjoyed this and want to see more Geekery 101s, like I said, we haven't done them in forever, but I want to get back into it, so let me know. Also, if you like this video, then share it around the web. It's the best way to help our channel grow. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.